Governor Murphy.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It is an honor for Tammy and me to stand alongside the Josephson family. Marcy, who I just said to her privately, gave extraordinarily brave words. Can we get it from Marcy for opening up? And alongside Marcy, her husband Seymour and their daughter Sydney. So God bless you all. Let's hear it for them. And we stand not only alongside the Josephson family, but the entire Robbinsville community to honor Samantha Josephson's memory through the signing of Sami's law. I want to thank a really good guy, Mayor Dave Freed, for opening the doors of Town Hall to us this morning, and indeed for connecting us with the Josephson family. Dave, thank you. I want to also thank, standing up with us, Senator Linda Greenstein and Assemblymen Dan Benson and Wayne D'Angelo for not just joining us, but for their leadership over the past months to see this bill was passed so we can see it enacted today. And I want to also give a shout out in absentia to Senator Pat Dugnan. So for all the legislators, please join me in thanking them. I won't go by name, but I want to acknowledge the prosecutor, freeholder, and the town council here as well today. Thank you, folks, for coming out and supporting this. In the short time that we've spent, as they say, backstage with the Josephson family this morning and in some back and forth texts that Seymour and I had, we have come to realize that everything that we read and heard about Samantha and her family, but in particular about Samantha from friends and other loved ones of a smart, kind, and determined young woman taken from us far too soon, was all not just true, it was far more than true. If anything, I think it underplayed how special she was. As parents, I can speak for Tammy and me, we cannot begin to imagine the terrible grief the Josephson family has carried. And I'm well aware that this could have happened to any member of our community, to any New Jersey family, including our own. The problem with senseless tragedies is that they are indeed senseless. Yet we can and we must strive to bring sense to the world to prevent another tragedy. As leaders, it is our greatest responsibility to ensure the public safety and to implement smart policies to prevent tragedies so that no other family, friend, neighbor, or community should have to grieve as the Josephsons and Robbinsville have and suffer another loss of a bright star like Samantha. As ride sharing becomes more and more ubiquitous, is the word I would use, it says commonplace, but it's everywhere, we will need to take precautions to make sure that a simple convenience does not turn into a dangerous situation as it did for Sami. That is what we are doing today. The law itself is straightforward, and it ensures that Sami is able to carry a legacy that long outlives her short time here. With today's enactment of Sami's law, we will give passengers a greater sense of security by clearly and visibly marking the vehicles of rideshare drivers and require drivers to post unique identifying materials so riders can confirm their driver's identity before stepping into the vehicle. I want to especially thank and commend Marcy and Seymour, and Sydney's been with them every step of the way, who in the face of deep personal tragedy have made it their calling to spread awareness about ride-sharing safety through the What's My Name campaign to encourage riders to ask their drivers 3 simple words, what's my name, before entering the vehicle. Seymour was mentioning backstage that this is already having a big impact around the country, and we should expect that impact will only grow. These twin efforts, Sami's law on the one hand, which we'll sign in a few minutes, and the What's My Name campaign will work together to ensure greater safety and security for all rideshare passengers. To Marcy, Seymour, and Sydney, on behalf of our state, We thank you for your hard work and commitment to the safety of others, and thank you for all you have already done in Sami's name and memory. One of Samantha's closest friends said, and she might be here or he might be here, quote, that Sami always looked out for those around her. Today we will honor her as we look out for our friends and family through the signing of a law in Sami's name. It is now my great honor to introduce the mayor of Robbinsville, the guy who brought us together. I can't thank him enough for that, who's hosting us this morning. Please help me welcome Mayor Dave Freed.
Good morning. I'll be brief. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here tonight to Robbinsville. I'd like to thank the family. This is truly one of the bravest, strongest families that I've ever met. Their passion for what they're doing right now, and my children are here, and I want to thank them for not only keeping my kids safe, but on behalf of every other family in Robbinsville, keeping their children safe as well. I believe this law is going to make a difference. And really, we owe them a round of applause and a real salute for what they've done. I'd certainly like to thank our legislators for showing some leadership in making this happen. I've given them a short list of other laws. I'd like to see them now that we know this can happen so quickly. And on a serious note, I'd like to thank the governor. The governor is really a unique individual, and he's been willing to work with us to be able to come here to Robbinsville today, to be able to meet with us and be willing to sign the bill here today. And on a personal note, I'd like to mention, he's met with me personally and listened to us on a couple ideas, and actually has even taken the time to call me when he thought I was doing a good job. It's that personal touch that I think really makes it a very unique person, lets him know that he truly cares about people, and I wanted to mention that I noticed, and I really appreciate the fact that he takes the time to do that. I think it shows his compassion, and I am truly honored that he is here today to be with us and to sign this into law. So thank you all for coming, and I'd like to introduce
Dave, thank you very much again for your leadership, your friendship for the Josephsons, and your strength in this community. Before I ask some of the legislators to come up and say a few words, Marcy's sister and Sami's grandparents are with us today, so I want to acknowledge them and say God bless you all, and thank you for being here. With that, again, I mentioned there were several leaders in the legislature without whom this would not have happened. It certainly wouldn't have happened as quickly as it did. I'd like to ask each of them to come up and say a few words. Let me begin by asking my friend, Assemblyman Dan Benson, to come on up.
I think the First Lady and Marcy said it best. This is a bittersweet day. I know a lot of us have tears, or we're holding back some tears, not just because something we worked really hard on through the Josephsons and the community here is coming to fruition in Sami's name, and not just because of the grief that we continue to feel for such an impactful loss. But we're holding back tears as well because we know that this is something that didn't have to happen, and that all we can do to help make things right is to try to bring some more light into our world, and by making things a little bit better, the way Sami lived her life. And I can't tell you how much I've worked on a lot of legislation, and some of those, in the heat of a tragedy or in the after fact. I've never had something like this where I've seen a young woman have the impact on so many people, not just in her community here, South Carolina, but those connections webbing out all across our country. I want to thank, I know Mary's here from Chris Smith's office. He's the sponsor of the federal version of this bill, and Senator Ben Cardin there as well. I am proud that we're leading here in the 14th and in Robbinsville, not only for New Jersey, but for the nation. And this is a milestone. Sami's law is something that's going to, hopefully from here, again, lead in the rest of the country as well, so that we can ensure that every person getting into a ride sharing knows that it's their vehicle and that it's going to be a safe ride. I want to thank the governor particularly for choosing to do a signing ceremony. Not every bill gets that, because not only are we bringing some education to the law, but to the What's My Name campaign and the website of what'smyname.org, because all the educational material there is so important too. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, please do. Please share it with a loved one, because we need to make sure that everyone understands how to keep themselves safe and how we can prevent tragedies like this again. I just want to thank the Josephson family, your strength and your dedication, and Sydney, just to see that move forward. I know Sammy's here in this room, probably laughing at us a little bit, and also just so proud to see everyone here in Robbinsville. It's a great community, and Mayor, you know what it's like because you've represented here for over 20 years. Robbinsville is unique. Everyone looks out for each other, and everyone knows each other. And in this modern world, that's a rarity. So I just want to thank the Robbinsville community for all their efforts as well. We couldn't have gotten this done as quickly as we did if it wasn't for the leadership of our local elected officials, the mayor, the family, and again, my colleagues, Wayne D'Angelo and Lenny Greenstein, who are about to speak next. If I could have Senator Greenstein come up and say a few words.
Understanding the difficult circumstances that bring us here today, I want to thank Seymour, Marcy, and Sydney Josephson for being the inspiration behind the development of Sami's Law and being here for the bill signing by Governor Murphy. Thank you, Governor. The loss of Sami has affected people across the state and the country, including me. I can tell you that you should see me when I try to get into an Uber right now. I was in Philadelphia the other day, and it has totally changed my behavior. My sister and my son just got right in. I'm walking around the car. I'm looking. I'm screaming out, "What's the license?" And it's affected so many people. Given their loss, Seymour and Marcy have somehow found the strength to turn their grief into action, and that's why we're here today. I had the honor, along with Assemblyman D'Angelo and Benson, to speak in depth with the family about the hidden dangers of ride-sharing services so that we could craft legislation that would save the lives of people who use these services. Many of the proposals in the legislation came directly from the family, and I also want to thank Mayor Freed for his great work here. By signing Sami's Law today, one goal is to protect rideshare users with expanded passenger protections, including placards on the rear passenger side of the vehicle and the driver's side that display the license plate number, the driver's picture, and a certain code called a QR code that the passenger can scan with their smartphone to confirm that this is their ride. So there are several methods to make sure that people will be getting into the right car. It is my hope that through the tragic loss of Sami, who apparently was a wonderful, wonderful person, I really wish I had gotten to know her, but the things we heard at the various events show how special she was. And through that loss, we can help to save the lives of others with this law. Thank you.
Before I bring up our last speaker, and then we'll get to signing the bill, I also want to acknowledge Seymour's sister, who's here as well. And if you didn't already know that partisan politics is not and was never involved in this, I want to give a shout out to Representative Chris Smith as well for his national leadership on this, along with Senator Cardin. This is as fertile a common ground to do something honorable in the memory of a blessed young woman that our country, our state, and our country can all, through that legacy, save lives going forward. It is my honor to bring up again another leader in this struggle who does great work, and a friend, Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo.
It's always a challenge being the last speaker before doing something as important as this. You know, we're in a room full of broken hearts right now and trying to figure out a way to move forward. This is a start, and I can pledge to this room and to the community that this is the first of many piece of the legislation that we will do going forward to ensure safety for those in the rideshare industry. You know, I remember sitting at Assemblyman Benson's office as we're mustering through the piece of the legislation on what we're going to do, and having a conversation with Sammy's dad going, yeah, we need to find a spot so that when you're not getting picked up at the mark on location, you know, the community spot when we go out throughout the state, and we call it Sammy's something. And I go, Sammy's spot. Remember? So as we work towards doing things better, to this room, I can't wait to see the governor sign this piece of legislation as the start of many working towards Sammy's spot. Thank you.
I think with that, we're going to get right to it and sign it into law. Does that sound all right with the family and all? Let's go. Come on over.
Guys, down in front, please.
It looks like I should read it, right? So this is Assembly Bill number 5321, sponsored by Dan Benson, Wayne D'Angelo, Valerie Vigneri Huddle, Paul Moriarty, Senator for the Senate, Pat Diamond, Linda Greenstein, and Tom Kane, with a whole group of august co-sponsors. And there's always a synopsis, and the synopsis here says Sammy's Law requires transportation network companies to issue and drivers to display on vehicles certain transportation network company identification. By the way, Tammy and I were just given by Marcy earlier and Sydney a hashtag Sammy Strong bracelet, which we wear with great honor today. I've been told that each bill I sign, I need to take my glasses off and there's some sort of an official look. So I can't see it, hard. Doing the line, exactly. I'm always, exactly, and also when I walk downstairs, make sure the scissors are pointed down. So we're going to give out a series of pins here, so please bear with me. God bless Marcy, Sammy's mom. God bless you. That's for you, all right? God bless you in her memory. Seymour, Dad, God bless you. In your blessed gal's memory. Sydney, God bless you and your sis. Dave, all right, Mayor? Thank you for everything. Dan, Benson, thank you. Appreciate your leadership on this. Senator Linda Greenstein, Linda, bless you. Thank you for your leadership. Wayne, you still with us? Always in the back. This is Linda. I wonder if you'd be willing to give this to Pat Dyer. Is that right? And I'm going to give one more to Dad and maybe place this. I know she's laid the rest of East Windsor, so maybe that's something you may want to do and the rest of place. So, Sammy's Law is the law of the land. Thank you all so much. God bless Sammy, and God bless you all for being here.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Marty.